when brands are looking for creators to work with, they want to know who you are. Slide into the DMs, send emails. I know it can feel sometimes like it's too much, but a lot of it gets lost and filtered out. Brands don't know what you're using and loving and obsessed with. A huge indicator that brands are using nowadays to see, oh, does this actually align, is now beyond the morals and the values and the verticals of content you're creating is, did they talk about us? Because my audience and community needs, this is that aspect of value. Take mentality instead of how can I serve?
Welcome to the She Believes She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. Since 2020, this show has inspired thousands of women around the world to believe in themselves and take bold action toward the lives they're meant to live. Each episode brings you powerful conversations and practical strategies to strengthen your mindset, build your confidence and brand, grow your business, and protect your well-being, all while spotlighting stories of women who are making a difference and changing the world in their own way. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to work. Welcome back to the She Believes She Could podcast. Today's episode is another special conversation from the She Believes She Could Summit, and I could not be more excited to share it with you. This session features two incredible women. So we had Kahlea and Sara Stefanik, who have both built their careers by leading with purpose, embracing resilience, and creating meaningful impact in the lives of others, especially in the influencer space. So throughout this conversation, we're going to talk about what it really takes to grow your influence online. How do you monetize your brand? And how do you build a life and business that really reflects how you want to show up in this world? I am so excited because whether you're an entrepreneur, executive, aspiring leader, or simply somebody who's navigating your own next chapter and really want to lean into the online space, you're going to walk away with practical insights, fresh perspective, and the encouragement to keep believing in what's possible. So grab your notebook, settle in, and enjoy this inspiring summit conversation, first with Kahlea and then with Sara Stefanik.
If you're not already talking about the brands that you use and love, it's not enough to say, I just like them, so it makes sense for us to work together. They can't just be living in your pantry or in your beauty cabinet or, be something that you're wearing all the time, but you're never actually showing that because brands don't know what you're using and loving and obsessed with. They only know if you are actually publicly talking about that. So a huge indicator that brands are using nowadays to see, oh, does this actually align, is now beyond the morals and the values and the verticals of content you're creating is, did they talk about us? How did their audience respond? How often do they talk about us? How do they talk about us? They're looking at those different things. So in this first section here, ideal brand alignment, the question of brands I would love to partner with are, I want you to take a second. I want you to write a couple of those down. But the caveat here is you can only write down brands that you already publicly talk about. And I'm curious how many of you actually have to keep that blank. Tough love. Tough love. That second part, because my audience and community needs, this is that aspect of value. What are we providing? A lot of people have the perspective with brand partnerships of what can I get? What free product? What free service? What money can I get? What is it about me? It's a very take mentality instead of how can I serve? How can I offer? How can I provide value? I can give you some unexpected ways you can provide value to brands here in a second. But thinking about your audience and community too, because it has to all work. It can't just be enough that you love it. Why does your audience care about that brand? Why should they care about that product or that service? How does it help them? How does it serve them? I'll give you a great example with a partnership I'm currently working on with a brand called Gusto. Anyone ever heard of Gusto for payroll? Yeah. They're incredible and could not handle the payroll side of business and managing my team well and with excellence without Gusto. So when they had, started talking with me about a partnership, the through line that they were mentioning is I talk often about being a founder and building in public. They talked about how they can tell my audience is intrigued and interested by that topic of conversation. How? They're liking things, they're sharing things, they're saving things, they're commenting on things that are around those different topics. They're seeing there's an audience need, a community need for more of these conversations. And they are recognizing, hey, this isn't a tool that you've directly mentioned. I didn't directly mention Gusto, but I've talked a lot about building a team, the struggles of building a team, the mental load of having a team. Anyone else had a team in here, like multiple people? Y'all get it. Y'all get it. It's no joke. Everyone loves to be like, it's great. It's rough. It's hard. Building a business in general is hard, especially when you're managing different people. So I talked a lot about these adjacencies. So when we got on a call and we're having a conversation and I'm pitching the different ideas to them, I'm talking not just about here's why I use it and here's why I love it. There's authentic, organic alignment. I can talk about it from a place of this is my thing. I love it. I use it. But also, here's what I see my audience is wanting. Here's how it would serve them. Because who's going to buy it? I've already bought it. Who's going to buy it? They're going to buy it. So these two things have to work together. So again, if that's not something that you know how to answer, this is where you go back to the drawing board and you start thinking, well, man, I'm not talking about any of these brands. And also, not only have I not talked about it, but I don't actually know how it would fit with my audience. It then makes you think, well, what do I need to be talking about more? Or do I actually need to pivot my thinking in terms of what brands I actually want to work with? Okay, so take a second, just write that down. I'll give you a minute to jot some things in if you have something. Going into your current brand story, I kind of alluded to the through line, right, through your content, through line through your personal brand. Now, in full transparency, in 10 years, I have grown a lot as a person and not only as a business owner. Who I was at 17 is not who I am at 28. So as my business has grown, as my content has grown, as I've grown, there's been a lot of evolution. So there are about every 6 months, I am actually sitting down. Previously, it had been just with my husband or with my business partner. But now a lot of times it's with my husband and also my uncle, Claude, or as you guys might know, Claude AI. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think my husband would hate if I called him my boyfriend. So he's just my uncle. So we love Uncle Claudio. And Uncle Claudio and I, we spend a lot of time together, okay? And especially around like every quarter, we sit down and we're having a giant brain dump section specifically about this current brand story. What is my online presence currently communicating to brands, currently communicating to my audience? Is that the story that I'm actually wanting to tell? What I will do and what I want you guys to shift your thinking of when it comes to AI is not tech. It's not a tool. AI is actually a teammate if you treat it as one. AI can be your creative strategist. It can be your business partner. It can be your marketing director. It can just be your brainstorming partner if you just need someone to run ideas off of. You'll hear me talk a lot about AI too in a very humanizing way. I call it him. I know that might scare some of you, especially depending on how you feel about AI. But as I say all the time, AI is not going anywhere. So it's what are our boundaries in terms of how we will or won't use it, but we have to integrate it in some capacity. Like there's no getting around it in our industry at all moving forward. This is the future. So I love Claude better because one, he's way more human than ChatGPT. We were just joking about ChatGPT in the back. Why does he never remember anything? He forgets. It's like he has short-term, he's like Dory. He's like short-term memory loss. I'm like, brother, I just told you this. Like, what? 2 seconds ago. Why are we back here again? So with Claude, the memory actually saves. You can build up skills in Claude. You can do Claude Cowork for agentic AI. It's actually doing things for you. So it actually triggers me. I have built a agent in Claude that every quarter it says, hey, Kahlea, we need to sit down and we need to make sure that everything that you've been creating content around, how you've been showing up online is aligned with your brand story. We need to hang out and we need to chat about this. So you could go as far as to that, or you could simply just sit down and I would do like 60 minutes, sit there. And I want you to use the voice to text, okay? A lot of y'all are typing and it's wasting time, okay? No more typing. Typing is like so 2025, okay? We're in 2026 and it's all about voice to text. If you guys have never heard of a tool called Whisperflow, who are my Whisperflow users in here? Yeah, y'all know what's up, okay? Why brands should partner with you. And we don't have to get to like no pressure to get all serious about it right now. I know you have been working hard all day. But just a little, thought starter on the way that you help your audience and why you want to work with this brand. So you want to think about the who. Your brand should partner with you because who do you help? And when you get into the media kit side of things, you can really bring out those stats in a certain type of way that's attractive. And then you also want to think about the how. And I want to go beyond, I teach them XYZ about recipes or whatever it may be. I want you to think about how do you make your audience feel? Because they connect with you because they feel like they connect with you on a personal level. So what are some of the key words that kind of go into how you express emotion and connection with your audience? The other thing I want to just selfishly mention, on your Instagram,
when people are sourcing you, when brands are looking for creators to work with, they want to know who you are. So if you are an author reaching a certain demographic, or if you are an expert, if you are a mom of 2 babies or a dog mom, like whatever it may be, put that in your bio so that people know right away. So what I do behind the scenes is I create slide decks for clients. And just to kind of back up and give you a visual of this. So I work for Baby Center and Mom 2.0 as a publisher. And then I go to our clients, which are major brands, whether it's Target, Amazon, whoever. And then I present a presentation of influencer options. And I put in their bio, picture. If I have to go scrolling and scrolling for a picture of you, like a nice picture of you or you and your family or you and whatever it is, that however you're positioned, that makes my job a little bit harder. So I love it when I go to someone's page and you have a pin, and I loved the trend. It's like this, like reintroducing myself or about me, where there's like a photo and I can clearly grab that and put it in my deck. And I know I'm not the only one doing this. So I think you'd be surprised at how many decks you might be in at any given time. So having that information up front is really helpful. And back to what I said about making sure that everything is aligned across the board, it just makes it easier for brands to want to work with you. Okay, so let's talk about media kits for a little bit. Show in hands, who has a media kit? Oh, a good amount. Okay, awesome. Okay, when you're thinking about a media kit, I see a lot of them, and they've evolved over times, and there's different formats. So the different formats that you would have is a one-pager that you might even print out if you're going to an event where you can hand them out. You could even condense it down to like a 5x7 card that you can hand out. I've even seen business card size that looks a little bit more like a media kit. So you can really put it in any format. And then there's the long form. If you're having a presentation with a client, the bigger client that you're talking with, you can have a full presentation, basically media kit that you can walk them through. And then also, as I mentioned on your site, you should also have a version of your media kit. So there's going to be different layers to this, but I'm going to talk about the most common, which is the one pager. And one of the most important things that you want to do is tell your story, but cutting back on the long, full page. Because so many people are using ChatGPT to write right now, I think everyone is more likely to skim than ever before and really read your story. So you want your story to be meaningful, but I would keep it to like a paragraph. Everyone is very visual, and your stats are big too. So the more you can have numbers that pop and are easy to understand, the more that's going to come across and jump out. And I always say that follower count does matter. It does put you in, and nobody likes to hear that, but it does put you in a certain category with certain brands. So if you're just starting out and you have 200 followers, you're going to want to work on gifting programs and PR programs and build your way up. If you have 1 million followers, we're talking about a different type of media kit. So lead with whatever your strongest stat is. And once you start to understand your engagement rates, you can lead with engagement rate. I see that a lot. If it's a smaller creator starting out, I would lead that way. And then once you start doing brand campaigns, you can also ask the clients for their stats, because there's other things that you don't have access to, like completion rates that mean a lot to sponsors. And so I include all of those things. And then testimonials. I love to have at least 1 or 2 testimonials right in your media kit from a sponsor. So if you work on a campaign, just ask them for a little bit of feedback at the end and include that in your media kit. And you can also do a testimonial from your audience, or if you're consulting or whatever it may be, just having those quotes and testimonials are really nice to see. I think too, and we've talked about this a lot today, this community is just so wonderful. So if you does anyone here have one or multiple accountability besties, someone that you just kind of like reach out to you and say, hey, I have this idea. It's so important, right? It really helps a lot if you at least, I don't care if it's your sister, your mom, or if you have a whole community that you have access to. It's great to have at least someone that you can go to and say, hey, they might not even be an expert in media kits, but what do you think about this? So getting some ideas. I know that a lot of this can feel really overwhelming at times, and then you get in your own head about everything. So I find it helpful to kind of like reach out, talk to other people, and really just get a sense of, I think, confidence. It gives a lot of confidence to feel that from other people. Okay, so partnership outreach. This can feel intimidating, I think, sometimes for anybody. And I want to assure you that you don't need to be shy. Put yourself out there, engage with brands, comment on their pages. You'd be surprised how many people don't comment. So if they see you and they keep seeing your face, they're going to say, wow, this person really is aligned. This person is a fan of this brand. And it's an easy way to pull that person into the brand. Slide into the DMs, send emails. I know it can feel sometimes like it's too much, but a lot of it gets lost and filtered out. And so sometimes you have to do that. And I've even heard with emails that they're filtering with AI now. So you have to kind of like try different types of emails to send. Some emails send with no links, then try an email with a link to your media kit. Try an email with different keywords. So it can be really tricky and feel like it's hard to get through, but I think brands do want to hear from you, and I get a lot of emails from people, but I appreciate it because I have a lot in my inbox, and when I see a name keeps coming in, I'm like, okay, this person really wants to work with us. Like, I should check this out. So I highly encourage you to definitely do that. Keep that outreach going, and you will hear back.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I am so grateful that you are here. As always, please continue the conversation over on Instagram at Allison Walsh, and make sure that you check out all of our freebies. If you scan the QR code, if you're watching on YouTube, or check out the link in the show notes, it will take you to a page full of resources and trainings and things to help you go farther faster. And that is always my intention, is to help you continue to grow. And as always, I believe in you 1000%, and my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. I'll see you next time.